We are well into 2023 and I've reached that dreaded place in my career. Genealogy is now my side hustle. And to explain what this means, I need to take you back on a little journey to explain how I got here and what this means going forward. You see, I was living abroad in Australia in 2020, shortly after the pandemic hit, and I found myself stuck at a roadhouse with very few hours and almost nothing to do. I was isolated both socially from anybody else and also physically from essentially most of the world. And so what I did is I took that time to really up my genealogy game. I spent every waking hour of every day doing family research, and I did this for months on end. And by the end of it, I felt very confident in my abilities, and it was essentially the equivalent of having taken an intensive university course for an entire year. Now, even though I had started this hobby about a decade beforehand, this was the first time I had really dedicated every amount of time that I had available towards honing my skill. And so it really goes to show that the amount of time that you put into studying something and learning something can have a huge impact on your abilities. It's not just luck, it really comes down to putting in that time and effort, and I was very lucky to have essentially unlimited time. Fast forward to 2021, and I had now left the Outback and was living in an apartment in Melbourne. And I found myself hopping from job to job. Most of them were really terrible. So I went through this string of really bad jobs and eventually found myself out of work and living on my savings. Things were starting to get a little bit tight, and so I started to think, what skills do I have that I could try to earn some money doing? And lo and behold, I decided to put myself out there as a professional genealogist. I made a profile with the Association of Professional Genealogists, and then a cousin of mine had also convinced me that it might be a good idea to start a YouTube channel. And so I took his advice, started the YouTube channel, and lo and behold, clients actually started rolling in. Now, this was very surprising. I didn't think I was really going to get much traction, but I started getting clients almost immediately. And while it wasn't enough to fund my entire lifestyle, I was bringing in at least a few hundred, maybe $500 or $600 a month doing this as work. Now, this is a long story and there's a lot more to talk about, so we're gonna take a little bit of a break. And during this break, it would be really nice if you could just hit the like button and also subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. So the break is now over. Thank you so much for doing that, and let's continue. At the end of 2021, my Australian visa ran out and I needed somewhere to go. And what I figured was that, well, with my $500 or $600 on average coming in every month, I could try to find some low cost of living countries for an American to go live in and try the digital nomad lifestyle. So that's what I did. Over the next half a year or so, I split my time between Thailand, Turkey, and Romania, and took on more and more clients and continued to make more and more videos. I wasn't living the life, if I was lucky in a month, I would be able to pay all my bills and have a little bit of surplus. And I would say I probably averaged around $700 to $800 in expenses during the time I was traveling, and probably evened out the amount that I earned from doing genealogy work. By now, I had already been living outside of the United States for 4 years. 2 years pre-pandemic, 2 years during the pandemic, and I was starting to get a little bit burned out. You see, it had been a really long time since I had a close social network, friends, family, a place to call my home. When you travel around a lot, it can get really tiresome moving from place to place. And so I kind of decided on a whim when I was in a hostel in Romania that it was time to come home. I'd heard that the labor market in the United States was very tight and figured that this could also be a really good opportunity to find an in-demand job to get up on my feet the moment that I returned to America. And that is exactly what I did. I came back to the US, decided to live in Philadelphia, and ended up getting a full-time job that I'm working right now. So now it's been around 9 months since I've returned, and what does this mean for my career as a genealogist? Well, what it means, as you might have guessed from the title of this video and from the beginning, is that I now have genealogy as my side hustle. So I work full-time, I do genealogy on the side, and this has a lot of pros and cons to it. The cons I'll get out of the way first. I don't really have as much time to do research as I would like to, let alone devote as much time to this YouTube channel as I would like to. That's simply because I have a lot of hours that I need to cover at my work. I've been less aggressive and more selective with the clients that I've taken on, and I have taken on some really interesting ones, such as certain individuals, businesses, and even research for a television show. But you know, there just are so many hours in a day, and when you have to work 8 hours or more, there's not as much time left to pursue and market yourself as a researcher. I really want to thank you all for sticking with me throughout this journey, and hopefully this is just one of the beginning phases in a very long road. So that's all I've got for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.